we're going to start with Mike Barber from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Mike, go ahead for Coach Shoop.
Thank you. Hey, Coach. I'm curious just what you see, particularly from Armstrong, but the passing game in general, and how is that offense maybe different than what it's been in past years?
First, tell John O'Connor I said hello if you see him.
I absolutely will.
He's a good man. I coached his son at William and Mary, and we've always been friends. But boy, Brennan Armstrong's the real deal. Their whole offense obviously starts with him. They've got great depth at the receiver position. They've got a unique weapon in the tight end. They've got backs that are versatile, can catch the ball in the backfield. I mean, I think they're averaging throwing the ball 47 times a game. They're averaging 430 yards of pass offense. Armstrong can make every throw. He really can. He lays it out there on the deep ball very well. He can throw those intermediate to deep line drive shots on skinny posts and ins and over routes to number 0 and to Keaton that are really special. And when things break down, he makes good decisions and puts the ball, in check downs and short throws and things like that, and can certainly make plays with his legs. I think the last couple of weeks he's been a little inhibited because of the injury he suffered early in the season, but he's certainly caught everybody's attention, and he's a very accurate thrower, and he's got great experience. And I know our guys are looking forward to the challenge of playing against him and this explosive Virginia offense.
A quick follow-up. We here have been critical of their lack of a traditional run game. Their coaches will tell you it's been dictated by the scoreboard and the circumstances. What do you see, though, when you look at the offensive line, the running backs, and what we would call a traditional run game?
Well, it's definitely an untraditional run game. And because of that, in a short week like this, it certainly creates, a challenge to the coaches and the players of the opponent, in that we'll have a very short time to kind of teach the unusual formations and motions and things like that, and how they use, whether it's Keaton motion into the backfield, or how they use, 7 or 21 or all those different guys that they use in the backfield. So it's a challenge. But I think, our guys, again, are looking forward to that. Today was obviously like a Tuesday practice for us, and we spent a great deal of time on early downs like we ordinarily would on Tuesday practice. So our guys saw a lot of their runs, and they're actually traditional runs as the game goes, but how they get to them is a little bit unusual. But but certainly we have a lot of respect for them, and I know Coach Mendenhall, he really wants to get the run game going as well.
Thanks, Coach. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Coach, we're going to go next to Manny Navarro from The Athletic. Manny, go ahead.
All right.
Hey, Coach Shoop. Question for you. I know obviously you help in the game planning week to week, but I'm curious, but when you first got there, your evaluation of what Miami had on defense. I know everybody's talked about them being the quote unquote worst tackling team in the country because of those first 3 games. Just curious, how much maybe you encouraged Manny to look for linebackers in the transfer portal, or did you talk much about personnel in areas where you saw where the team needed to get better?
Well, I mean, I think, certainly part of my role, my role was coming in and just learning the culture of the program. The respect I have for Miami and Miami football is immense. When I grew up in the profession, I was coaching at Boston College in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I have tremendous amount of respect for the U and what it represents. And, the opportunity to work with Manny meant a lot to me. He and I have, spent a lot of time talking football in the off season. So learning his package, learning his culture, how he wanted to do things. And then obviously it was a little bit of a transition for a lot of us on defense, whether it's T-Rob, whether it's Jess, DVD in a new role, Ish coming in. We all kind of were learning how things got done here. I assure you we practice tackling every day. I assure you spend a great deal of time on it. And to me, I might be able to get my defensive coach calling card thrown away from me here, but I think you can be a good tackling team without taking guys to the ground in training camp and in season. It's about teaching proper angles. It's about teaching leverage. It's about teaching body position. With your knees bent, chest up, eyes up. I always use the term CPR, pull your body, step of the power foot, strike on the rise. And yeah, I understand, through the first 3 games, we're all disappointed with how we tackled, but we're working at it. We're still a work in progress. We're trying to find the right mix of players, the right blend, up front at the linebacking position in the secondary as we move forward to conference games. And I think last Saturday, certainly 2 things. I think it was a confidence builder to our guys. a team, albeit an FCS team, but it was a team that won their conference and was in the playoffs the last time they played. We held them to 29 yards rushing, a little over 1 yard per rush, and then and you got to see some young guys, whether it's James Williams, whether it's Cam Kitchens, Chase Smith got his first real action, LT got his first real action up front. Seeing those guys play. Corey Flaggs, you asked about the linebacker position specifically. Losing, Keontre Smith hurt us a couple weeks ago. I think he was probably throughout the course of spring ball, summer camp, and the early part of the season was our most consistent performer. But Corey Flaggs played well, I think. Between Amari, and we lost Amari too. So, Amari didn't play last game. So between Amari and Gilbert Frierson at the striker, between Corey and Bradley Jennings at the mic, and between the guys that we got playing at will with Wayman Steed and Avery Huff and those guys, I think moving forward that group continues to improve each week, and I think we're starting to gel a little bit. And as Coach Diaz always says, this story isn't yet written. We were at a crossroads last week. Coach really challenged us. The phrase we used last week was "we're in the mud," and we talked about being in the mud together. And then it's our responsibility to work together to get out of the mud. And I think we took a step in the right direction last week, and really look forward to playing this team Thursday night again in Hard Rock.
Reminder, please use the hand raise function if you've got a question for Coach Shoop. We're going to go next to David Lake from 24/7 Sports. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I was just wondering if you could kind of just expand on what your role is. Seems like you do a lot of things. Is it like advanced scouting? Do you do self-scouting? Are you allowed to give, your thoughts maybe during the game to the coaches? Some things.
Well, my role is whatever Manny needs me to do. I'm if you guys are baseball fans, I'm kind of a utility guy. I've got, for the program overall, I try to be a positive, positive individual around the building all the time. Try to encourage the players, try to encourage the coaches as best I can. With regard to the defensive staff in and of itself, I've got a good deal of experience. I try to bring that to the table as far as game planning, techniques, fundamentals. Maybe I can help some of the younger coaches develop a teaching progression or things like that. As far as game planning and strategy during the week, I sit in on all the meetings. Certainly, Coach Diaz is the boss, but he's got a lot on his plate as the head coach, defensive coordinator, play caller. So if I can help take something off his plate, that'd be great. And then like anything else, I draw cards. I help out where I'm allowed to, with on the field and with the players, and I help out on game day as I'm allowed to by the rules of college football.
Coach, we got a couple more for you. We're going to go to Kobe Price at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Kobe, go ahead.
Thanks, Cam. Hey, Coach Shoop. Pleasure to meet you. Kobe Price with the Sun Sentinel.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for taking the time. Wanted to ask you about one of the safeties there, James Williams. You've obviously, coached several different places. I guess how rare is a player like him, physically playing at that position, and I guess, and also the traits and whatever you liked about him. I know he really just got his first significant reps on Saturday.
It's been great. Watching he and Cam Kitchens, I think they embody, really those two, and Chase Smith, I got to know really well over the summer. They spent a great deal of time in the office. They put in a lot of extra time, and to see those guys have a little bit of early success is really, what it's all about. James specifically, when I first met him, I'd heard the name obviously from recruiting nationally, but I hadn't met him. When I met him, I kind of assumed he might be kind of a cocky kid, and it was to the contrary. He was as humble a person. Coach, help me out anyway. Feel free to, let me know what I'm doing well, what I'm doing poorly. Really was a sponge as far as trying to learn the defense, to learn the fundamentals and techniques necessary to be successful at this level. I don't know in 30 some years of coaching that I've ever seen a safety as big as him. I think he has the ability to maybe do a lot of things. I think people have compared his skill set to the guy from Clemson a couple of years ago, Isaiah Simmons, I think his name was, that played safety a certain number of snaps, linebacker a certain number of snaps, can blitz off the edge, do things like that. I actually think Virginia has a player, Noah Taylor, who does some of the same type of things. And, so I think James has a really, really bright future. He's got his head screwed on. He's very humble. He's willing to learn. He's big. He's strong. He's fast. He's got a high football IQ. He's got a great character, and I look forward to hopefully the opportunity to work with him for a long, long time.
Coach, we'll go next to Susan Miller-Degnan from the Miami Herald. Susan, go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
Hi.
Hi. You just talked about James Williams. What about Leonard Taylor? Can you talk about him a little bit? And also, I wanted to ask you, I know we saw Amari in street clothes on the sideline. How's he doing now? Is he playing this week?
I'll talk about LT first. LT, LT's the same. I mean, he's a lot like James, probably not quite as ready-made as James was to be thrown into to action, but it was great to see him get his first action in scrimmages and throughout the course of the summer, throughout the course of training camp. He flashed. He's going to be a beast. He's going to be a monster. He's in a position that might be a little bit deeper. Obviously Jade's played very, very well through the first 4 games. You got John Ford, you got Jordan Miller, and you got Harrison Hunt up front, all pretty good players. So he's probably that 5th guy right there. I know as we get into conference play and through these last, on a weekly basis, the best units and the best defenses I've been a part of have been able to rotate, 4 or 5 defensive tackles or 4 or 5 defensive ends. So, you don't want guys playing 50, 60 snaps. If we can rotate those guys, 40 snaps and get LT his 10 to 15 snaps and continue to, as he continues to improve, I think that's going to be a real positive moving forward. He's got a great attitude. He's got a great mindset. I think he's proud to be a Cane. And I think we put on display last week a tremendous number of young players. And certainly I think it was very, very easy to see and very obvious to even the most casual fan that the future is very, very bright at Miami. And there's some really good, young, talented players on this team. As far as Amari, I don't think it'd be right for me to speak about any injuries or things like that. So